Impete washte tioshpai. Good day to you. My name is Katuk. The name of this podcast is Catch It, A New Perception. As we move through time, we may begin to see things different. This podcast is designed to help you see that as you change, your perception changes. As your perception changes, how you feel changes. Now, moving through time, hopefully you're taking some different action to help create a different perception. And as problems arise, how do we perceive them today? Do things appear to be a big problem? And they're not? How is the perception different? Is the voice louder? Is it quieter? How do you hear things? How do you see things differently than you did when you started life? Sometimes we have a tendency to believe that whatever is going on right now is the most difficult, the biggest problem. Such a big problem. And actually it's not. It's not that big of a deal at all. It feels even overwhelming at moments. And as you get through it, you look back and realize it wasn't that big of a deal. It's kind of like when you look back to when you were a child. You were a youngster, maybe even an adolescent, and something was going on, and it was a big problem. Boyfriend, girlfriend problem, friend problem. Any of those things that would feel like they're a really big problem. And you look back on it today and you think, wow, that wasn't any big deal. And the problem you face right now seems so huge. And if you would have had the same problem in the past, you'd be looking at it saying, well, it wasn't that big of a deal. Your perception is making the problem what it is. You can choose to let go or be dragged. If I haven't shared this analogy with you, or if you haven't listened to enough episodes of the podcast to have heard it, use the analogy of riding a horse. And the horse throws you as you're riding the trails. And you realize it's going to get away, and you're holding on to those reins so the horse doesn't get away. And you're being dragged. Or you could just let go. Once you let go, you will no longer be dragged by any problem you have. So you have a choice in the matter. You have a choice to decide whether it's a big problem or not. You can create that. You can believe that. Or you could realize it's really not that big of a deal. Most problems, obviously, there are certain things that arise that are a big problem that need to be dealt with and faced. Often, not by ourselves. We have friends, family, loved ones that could help guide us through the most difficult times in our lives. And I'll use another example of how people want to believe that the problem they have at the moment is the biggest problem there is. Because we create it, because of our perception, we feel like it's a big problem. Because we're going to take it on. We're going to hold on to those reins and we're going to be dragged for a little while. I've heard people say, well, yeah, I quit drinking alcohol, but I can't quit smoking cigarettes. It's just too difficult. It's so hard. I've been trying to quit smoking for so long, and I can't quit smoking. Quitting drinking wasn't that big of a deal. But when they quit drinking 20 years ago, you couldn't imagine how they were talking about it, like it was the most difficult thing they'd ever done in their lives. But now looking back on it, it wasn't as hard as this. Or other substances. Someone will say, I quit doing opioids back in the 70s. I quit shooting heroin. No big deal. He says, that crack? He said, I can't quit that. Because that's what he's faced with at the moment. I quit smoking crack back in the 80s, but man, I just can't quit drinking alcohol. Just because that's what he struggles with at the moment. So, if you are being dragged by something and you're struggling with a problem, it may be your perception of it. It may be because you are being dragged by it. Because you won't let go. Because the harder you hold on, the longer you will be dragged by it. Open your hands, open your heart, open your mind, and let go. Stop being dragged. So she says, well, I quit smoking cigarettes a long time ago, but I just can't quit drinking. It's the same thing. Whatever you're dealing with right now appears to be the most difficult. I don't believe that one is any harder than the other. If you've done one, you can do the next. If it seems harder today, it's because you're holding on. You're not letting go. Letting go may be a process, and that process could be different for different people. Because we've had different experiences, because our thinking has been different, because we have to shift our thinking individually because of what our experiences have been up to this point. So to pinpoint how someone deals with what seems to be a big problem today for them cannot be specific on this podcast. I speak in a general way because everyone that listens to this has had different experiences in life. Everyone that listens to this thinks different than one another. So we have to find a common ground. In the terminology that I use, as you've heard me speak in other episodes about terminology, in the terminology that I use moving forward to allow you to let go. No matter what it is that you're holding on to, no matter what kind of problem you think you have or difficulties you have today, it's your perception of it, and it can change as soon as you take the action towards changing it. As soon as you let go, you'll feel different. I'm not saying you won't be in some pain because you've just been being dragged, because you've been holding on to it for so long, it's dragging you through life. The nice thing is the pain will stop when you let go. hold on to it and continue to be dragged. Or let go. And in the future, you will look back at this time and you will understand that this problem that you have, that you thought was so great, is not that big of a deal. What's it mean when someone says walk towards the light? What does that mean? Does that have an odd connotation to you? Does that have a beautiful connotation to you? Do you have disdain for that comment? Now, some people are going to have disdain for what I say and they'll stop listening. They'll hear one thing and they'll be done and they won't listen to anything more. And that's okay. I believe that we all have our own journey. And we will all walk towards the light. Maybe it's the light in our heart that we're going to let out. We're going to walk towards it because we're walking with it. Maybe it's the light inside of someone else. And we appreciate who they are. We need more of that in our lives. We need the light that they have because our light is a little dim. We don't know how to open our heart. So we walk towards the light in another human being to find out how to open our heart and let more light in and let more light out. Or is it bigger than that? Is it the light of the universe that shines by the moon? The light of the universe that comes from that morning star. The light of the moon at night is a reflection. What is a reflection to you? What is that reflection in the mirror? Does that bring light? Who is the bringer of light? Is it you? Is it the one you walk with? Is it out there in the universe? Is it the Creator? Mayate says there is only one Creator. So no matter what your perception of spirituality, religion, or life, in any aspect, there's only one Creator. It's like believing in the power of nature. I believe in the power of nature. I believe in that mystery. And if you've heard me, you probably know that I believe that I will return to the spirit world where I came from before I was in human form. So when I walk towards the light, it is the light in my heart that I carry, because I carry a good heart. It's the light in you when I see you, that comes through your eyes, that comes from your heart. It's the light of the reflection in the mirror. It's the light from the reflection of the night moon. It's the light of that morning star. That early morning star. That one you call the sun. We walk towards the light. I will walk towards the light today. Looking forward to next time. Live in harmony with and use the bounty of the land to bring kindness to the world. See you again in this lifetime or the next. Doksha, okay.